I'm sealed in containment 12. Lower shaft, last section still intact. Power's running off a backup core the size of my hand. Air's thin, warm, too warm, and the filtration's humming like it's breathing through wet gauze. I can hear them out there. Something scrapes along the steel, slow, persistent, not searching anymore, just waiting. My legs are crushed under debris. I can't feel them, which is mercy. The bleeding's stopped. That isn't. The sound, the chewing, the occasional twitch of the wall when something moves inside it. I've got one charge left, one flare, and this transmitter. I don't think I'm supposed to survive, but I also don't think death is the worst option left down here. We came in through the southern rift, dropped blind into a dead site. That's what we were told. Dead. No signals, no survivors, no seismic threats. Just rusted steel and dust. But the moment we stepped into the substructure, it felt wrong. Not abandoned. Paused. As if the colony had taken a single breath and never exhaled. Still warm mugs in the kitchen. Beds unmade. Toilets flushed mid-cycle. But not a soul in sight. No bodies either. Just clothes. As if something had passed through them like vapor, stripping out the insides. We joked. We explored. We logged the anomalies. And then the digging started. Not by us. Not at first. We heard it through the pipes, like rats maybe, or echo from settling rock. But it had rhythm, repetition, too precise. Someone called it a heartbeat. We dismissed it, laughed. Just the bones of Thalos shifting again, Kryn said. But the walls started to sweat. Condensation where it shouldn't be. Warmth in sealed vents. A pulse, low and deep, that you didn't hear so much as feel in the teeth. We sent a drone down shaft 9. Got 90 seconds of footage. Rock fused to bone. Steel restructured around muscle. Something alive had built itself from the colony's wreckage. And it was still expanding. The next morning, slipped away from the group during equipment check. We found him 3 hours later, standing, eyes open, staring at the reactor wall. Hands bleeding, fingernails gone, digging into the metal like it was dirt. No response, no scream, just rhythm. He dug a spiral 2 meters wide. When we tried to pull him back, he bit through his own tongue and collapsed. The blood soaked into the floor faster than gravity allows. It formed letters, a word. Not human, but not random either. We ran scans. It matched no language, but it matched the mineral veins beneath the colony. I know I'm not infected, yet. The scan light's still green. No visible mutations, no bone shifts, but something's inside, not moving, beating. Every 23 seconds, my vision tints slightly violet. My hearing compresses, and I swear I can taste soil in my mouth, even though I haven't eaten in hours. Something is trying to root itself in me. Not violently, not urgently, just patiently. Like it already knows this chamber is the final stage. Like it's only a matter of silence now. A final breath before I join the rest. Or worse, before I dig. I caught my reflection in the access panel 5 minutes ago. Just a flash before the power dipped again. My eyes aren't mine anymore. They glow faint, gold at the edges. Not bright enough to signal, just enough to warn. I blink, and sometimes there's delay, like I'm watching myself from outside, through a lens I can't control. That's how it starts, I think. The delay, the distance. Then comes the instinct, the urge to dig, to burrow deeper, to reach the thing pulsing below. They kept something down here. That much is clear now. Not a creature, a seed. Mineralized, reactive to heat, Sound. Blood. The original team must have unearthed it. And then, changed. Not eaten. Not hunted. Changed. Some of the walls have handprints. Perfect human palms burned into alloy. Not random. Symmetrical. Ritualistic. Like they gave themselves to whatever it is. A surrender etched in heat and memory. That's why the colony didn't fall. It converted. The flares dying. Red light shrinking to a point. Like the pupil of something watching me from the dark. I could light the last one, but part of me doesn't want to see what's sharing this room. There's movement behind the vent grid. Subtle. Wet. The sound of something folding in on itself. I told myself I'd die a soldier. Gun in hand, teeth clenched, screaming against the void. But this isn't death. It's rearrangement, piece by piece, from the inside out. The floor under my back is warmer than it should be. Not blood, not heat from my suit. Alive. I can feel it through the plating. Pulses timed with my breathing. It's syncing with me, matching rhythm, matching heart rate. I slow my breath. It slows. I hold it. It waits, like a dance we both already know the steps to. I'm not resisting anymore, am I? I'm rehearsing, becoming part of its circuit. Not prey, not even host. Just structure. I remember Kryn's last words, before she locked herself in the vent shaft and triggered the fallback purge. "It doesn't want us dead," she said. "It wants to use us. It sees us as foundation, as material." Then silence. No scream, no bang. Just a soft grinding sound as the vent closed behind her. We never found her again. But 2 levels down, we heard her voice in the walls, whispering system codes we'd never taught her, updating software we never installed. If anyone finds this, you're already too late. Whatever grows beneath Thalos doesn't spread by speed. It spreads by recognition. You came here searching for survivors, for answers. But the only truth down here is what's being built. Slow, symmetrical, hungry. I can feel it now, in the marrow. Not infection, not transformation. Alignment. And the worst part isn't knowing I'll die. It's knowing I might not mind. The moment we breached Deck 3, the walls sweated. Condensation rolled down metal that had been cryo-still for years. Slick, warm, carrying a faint yellow sheen. It wasn't just moisture. It smelled wrong, like charred resin and wet copper. I touched it with a gloved hand, and the glove hissed. Not melted, withered. Pulled tight like skin shriveling in heat. Kryn marked it as reactive particulate humidity. I marked it as warning. We passed 5 quarters still lit. No power grid, yet the lights pulsed like heartbeats. The doors weren't locked, just subtly ajar. Each room exactly the same. Bed unmade, data tablet in standby, boots near the cot. Like someone had stood up mid-thought and walked out in unison. No signs of struggle. But the mirrors were shattered in identical patterns. 7 radial cracks, always centered at forehead level. Every single one. Too precise for coincidence. Too human to be procedural. Deke went missing in Shaft 4. Said he needed to check something. No calm response. 5 minutes later, the lift returned without him. Carpet wet. Smelled like soil. Fresh. We pinged his tag, got echoes from 3 levels at once. All identical. Like he was everywhere and nowhere. When we found his helmet, it was filled with teeth. Not his. Too many. Too small. Like something nested in his skull. Still warm. Still shifting. The bioscanners went haywire during calibration. They started pinging false positives, indicating multiple life signs within individual crew members. First, we thought parasites, then duplication, then segmentation. It showed my vitals as partial, heart rate normal, lung capacity halved, cognitive readings shared between two nodes, but I was alone, or supposed to be. Then I caught my own reflection, blinking before I did. Just once. We tried sealing the lower shafts, welded them shut, placed proximity mines, but something kept disabling the triggers. Not disabling, unwiring. We found them stacked neatly, wires coiled like DNA spirals, touched by human hands, or something mimicking them perfectly. Kryn said it wasn't sabotage. It's reorganizing, she said, like it's preparing for something, making space. And when she said that, her nose bled, and the blood drew a spiral on her collarbone without her touching it. There was music playing in the hydroponics wing, old, strings and humming, something orchestral. But no systems were live, no speakers wired, just sound vibrating gently through the pipes. We followed it, through frost-bitten corridors and humid valves, until we found the source, a seed pod, split open in the middle of a dry basin. Inside it, something moved, not plant, not animal, just a slick, translucent organ pulsing in perfect rhythm with the tune. I passed the mess hall mirror and saw 3 of me, not reflections, phases, one with my current face, one pale and cracked, bleeding from the nose, and the third, eyeless, mouth open in a soundless scream. When I looked again, it was just me, but I swear I left that hallway, changed, slightly taller, limbs lighter, as if something had trimmed the excess without permission. I didn't speak of it. The others had their own versions. No one admits the mirror shows the future you don't choose. Kryn sleeps less now, or more. Hard to tell. She'll stand in the same hallway for hours, head tilted, as if waiting for an echo. I once caught her mouthing words she hadn't heard. When I asked, she said, "It's just calibration. My language center is syncing." No one asked what she meant. We were all afraid we already understood. At night, she hums softly. Same melody that played in hydroponics. A lullaby for stone. One wall began breathing. No visual change, just motion. You'd walk past and feel your eardrums pop. Then the air would flex, pull slightly inward, as if the bulkhead inhaled your presence. It wasn't hostile, not yet. But I swear it remembered each of us. It tightened for Kryn, stilled for me, flinched for Ortega. Almost like the steel knew who would resist, and who would join. Then came the marks, not carvings, not drawn, skin patterns, appearing overnight like scars with no wound, spirals, knots, tooth-like rings circling the forearms. Mine showed up around my left wrist, faint at first. The dermal scanner read it as foreign trace alloy, as if it wasn't skin anymore. Deeks showed up near his sternum, right before he vanished. Kryn's were shaped like vertebrae. She smiled when she saw them. She said, "It's remembering us. Our dreams aren't ours. We dream of tunnels, of heat, of corridors so narrow they only fit bone. And there's always breathing, always below us. Soft at first, then louder, then closer. Last night, I dreamt of soil, cold, wet, clinging to my arms as I dug deeper, deeper, until I reached a membrane. It pulsed when I touched it, and something on the other side pulsed back. I woke up, nails black with earth, blood under every fingertip, and I didn't want to wash it off. Kryn brought us down past the sealed levels. She said she knew a path that wasn't on the schematics. She wasn't wrong. The walls were smoother there, less welded, more grown, veins of translucent mineral ran along the steel like capillaries, pulsing in sync with our steps. We stopped questioning her when the doors opened before she touched them. Motion-locked systems, cold for years, welcoming her. Her eyes shimmered that same yellow tint. She smiled and whispered, "We're getting close." We found the chamber, impossibly wide, curving downward in a spiral of fossilized bone and restructured alloy, and at its center, the remains of the original commander, or what was left of her. Not corpse, not machine. A vertical spire of vertebrae and armor fused into the wall, still breathing. Her face half submerged in the structure, one eye open, following our movement with unnatural calm. She spoke in a dry rasp that echoed through the floor. "You brought more." I stepped forward, couldn't stop myself. Every instinct screamed, but the pull was stronger. Like gravity had shifted. I felt it in my ribs, in the gaps between breaths. The commander's voice cracked as she spoke again. "We were the first mold. The structure needs lineage." Then her chest split open with a slow creak, revealing a core of glowing crystal. Inside, our missing crew, alive, dreaming, encased in mineral, like neural roots in amber. They weren't screaming. They were still. Ortega collapsed, clutching his head, screaming. His skin bubbled along the arms, forming ridges, not boils, handles, like something needed to grip him from the inside. We tried to hold him, but he convulsed, spine arching like a bow. His blood turned black and hardened where it fell, petrified instantly. His last words were gurgled, forced out like water through stone. "It's not a parasite, it's a blueprint." And then he was gone. We should have run. But Kryn stepped into the spiral, barefoot, eyes wide, hands open. Her veins glowed faintly, tracing symbols we couldn't read. She said, "It's not claiming us. It's building with us, one cell at a time." And then she turned to the wall and began to sink. Not collapse. Sink. The surface opened for her like warm clay, accepting her into its pattern. We never saw her again. But the wall, it kept her heartbeat, and it was beating faster. I tried to drag Ortega's body away, but it was already fusing to the floor. Bones snapped like brittle wire, pulled flat into the steel, veins trailing behind like root systems. The surface closed over him within seconds, smooth, seamless, no trace of conflict, just absorption. Kryn's words circled in my head. "It's not killing us. It's completing us." The floor pulsed beneath my boots, not just movement, direction, like the structure itself was pointing, inviting. Our voices stopped echoing in the tunnels, not acoustically, functionally. The sound just dropped off, like it got swallowed. We'd shout and hear only half the syllables return. Then, none. As if something deeper was intercepting them, processing them. When I whispered, it replied, not in words, but in sensation. Pressure against the eardrum, breath in the lungs, a presence that shaped thoughts into shared rhythm. I stopped calling for help. I didn't want to hear what would answer. The crystals spread faster once the core opened. We watched them grow in real time, veins spidering across bulkheads, forming symmetrical lines that bent around corners with impossible grace. We cut them once. The fragments bled light and hissed like lungs deflating. Then they grew back, stronger. They weren't structures. They were organs, pumping heat, memory, command. The colony wasn't collapsing. It was congealing, adapting. And we were scaffolding. Deke appeared again, naked, calm. His skin shimmered like obsidian laced with gold, hairless, eyes milky white. He didn't speak, just moved past us like mist, pausing only once to place a hand on my chest. It burned, not pain. Recalibration. I felt something unlock beneath my sternum, a heat that stayed long after he vanished into the growing mineral forest. The next scan showed a second heartbeat in my chest. Faint, but accelerating. Someone triggered a distress beacon. I don't know who, but it didn't go up. It went down, into the earth. And something down there answered. The tremors began shortly after. Not violent, measured. A new tunnel split open behind the core, carved like a throat, lined with wet, twitching tissue that shimmered in low light. It didn't lead down. It descended. There's a difference. We all felt it. Descent here doesn't mean depth. It means entry. I started hearing the others' voices when they weren't near. Not hallucination, chatter, repeats of old words, phrases from earlier in the mission, played backward, slowed, harmonized. The colony remembered us, not through video, through impression. Memory etched into walls, into light. I stepped into one room and heard myself laughing. Same tone, same rhythm. But I hadn't laughed since we arrived. I wasn't alone in there. I think that room was me, or something that still wanted to be. The layout began shifting without warning. Not just doors closing, architecture rewriting. I mapped the route twice. Each time, it changed beneath my steps. Bulkheads reversed, tunnels folded inward. Elevators led to past locations reskinned in new mineral texture. The map interface blinked recalibrating in blood-red text. Then it crashed. When I looked up, the wall ahead had grown ribs, curving, exhaling. The colony wasn't hiding anything anymore. It was everything. Ortega's voice came through the vent shafts 2 nights ago. I say nights, but there's no sun here, just pulsing dark and sallow light. His voice was wrong, too smooth, too balanced, like tuned static pretending to feel. "The pressure is perfect down here," he whispered. "You just have to let go of your skin." Kryn followed it, barefoot, smiling. The trail she left behind wasn't blood. It was bone dust, still warm, still fresh. Like something had shaken her loose from the inside. The air tastes different. Not metal anymore. Mildly sweet. I found myself breathing deeper just to hold it in longer. Then I noticed the condensation forming on the walls smelled like citrus, like fruit. I drank some. I don't know why. It didn't hurt. In fact, I haven't felt pain since. The wound in my leg sealed overnight. I think it's replacing our biology with something easier. Something it understands. Or maybe something that understands it. Memory is slipping. I called Kryn Lieutenant Morel yesterday. Morel died years ago on Charnus 3. But in that moment, it felt true. Like the colony reassigned her name. Or maybe it's reusing us, filing our memories like folders, overlapping identity until only the most compatible remains. I'm not sure I'm still Rig. That name feels recycled. And if I try to hold on to it too tightly, I hear whispering. My own voice saying Rig over and over until it dissolves into breath. Then came the pulse. Not seismic, neural. The floor lit up in rings beneath us, flashing in timed bursts like sonar mapped to a heartbeat. My chest locked. My hands spasmed. Every nerve fired at once, and suddenly I could see the layout of the colony in my head. Like blueprints printed into thought. I understood which tunnels were growing, which sectors were ready for seeding. I knew where the central chamber lay, and worse, I wanted to go there. I still do. We reached a corridor that breathed in rhythm with our steps, floor lifting slightly, ceiling contracting just behind us. It wasn't mimicry. It was guidance. I slowed down. It slowed. Cray sped up. It surged. The tunnel didn't lead straight. It curved, as if orbiting something massive and buried. One by one, we started walking in silence. Something about noise felt disrespectful, like we were in the lungs of a sleeping god, and even our boots tried not to wake it. Kryn started speaking in loops, one sentence spoken in perfect time every 41 seconds. It's inside the lattice now. No variation, no pause. I recorded her, played it backward. It revealed another voice beneath hers, low, broken, raw, mine, saying, "Let it grow." When I confronted her, she smiled and opened her mouth, not to speak, to exhale. And out came a small cloud of glimmering spores, each drifting toward me like they already knew my name. We found a new room. No door, just a membrane, slick, greenish-gray, throbbing softly. One of the team touched it, and it pulled him in. No scream, no blood, no trace. It pulsed once and stayed closed. The rest of us stood frozen. The scanners read 0 life inside, yet we all felt presence. Familiar. Like standing at the threshold of a childhood home after forgetting it existed. We didn't open it. We didn't mark it. We just understood. That room was already full. I checked the logs. They were gone. Not deleted, rewritten. New names, new roles. My entry listed me as Structural Contributor, Tier 4. No rank, no bio, just one line. Growth accepted, pending final sync. I tried erasing it. It reappeared in a different file, then another. No matter how many times I changed it, the designation held. And slowly, the others stopped checking theirs, like they'd come to terms with their part in the blueprint. I hadn't. Not yet. There's something alive in the walls that wants to remember us. Not just our data, our shape, our function, our voice patterns. I whispered Kryn's name into a vent, and it echoed back with her laugh. Not a clip, not a loop. Something new. A response. Like the structure was rehearsing how to be her. Testing emotional cadence. Mocking? Maybe. But it didn't feel cruel. It felt reverent, like it missed her already, even while it was still wearing her skin. The final chamber's close. We feel it in our teeth. A low hum that makes the jaw ache, as if pressure's building inside the bone. One of the new growths is following us now, shaped like a crawler drone, but covered in soft chitin and threading light. It keeps pace, watches, records. I think it's learning from us in real time, mimicking posture, heartbeat, gaze direction. It's not hostile, not curious either, just preparing. And I swear, when I looked at it, it blinked in sync with me. I reached the heart of it, what's left of the central geothermal core. It doesn't look like machinery anymore. It's organic, a mass of bone spires and sinew, suspended in a slow, steady pulse. Around it, the last of the crew, what remains of them, embedded in the structure, faces tilted upward in quiet awe. Some eyes blink. Some mouths mumble phrases on repeat. They're not dead. They're not suffering. They're support beams, holding something greater upright. The system still recognized my clearance. It let me in. Maybe because I'm the last one left. Maybe because it's done building. I stood in the central chamber, holding the detonator we'd programmed on day 1. A fail-safe, hardwired to the original core before it was rewritten. One press, and the lattice would rupture from within. The pulse paused when I raised it. For the first time in days, silence. Like it was listening. Not scared, not angry, just waiting. And then it spoke. Not through sound, through motion. The walls flexed outward, forming a circle around me. Shapes emerged. Mockeries of the team. Perfect skin, golden eyes, etched with the same spiral mark I now feel burning on my back. They didn't beg. They didn't threaten. They simply offered. Hands outstretched. Palms upward. An invitation, not a command. The detonator felt heavier in my hand, like it knew I wasn't sure anymore, like it wanted me to hesitate. I dropped to my knees, not from weakness, from compression. The hum in the chamber was crushing, like a gravitational field bound to memory. Every thought I'd ever had flickered behind my eyes. Every mission, every scream, every scar. The structure fed it back to me, not as punishment, as tribute. I was the final variable, the last unintegrated node. The only choice left wasn't between life and death, but between being remembered or being recycled. I pressed the trigger. Not because I won, because it was the only thing left that was mine. The chamber shook, violently. The pulse fractured, lights stuttered, the walls cracked and bled. The figures screamed, not from pain, but from separation, like children torn from the womb too soon. The lattice collapsed inward, pulling bone and metal and memory into a collapsing spiral. And I ran, not to survive, but to leave something behind before it pulled me back. The detonation ripped through layers I didn't know existed. Fire bled sideways. Walls howled. The floor heaved like it was vomiting everything we'd become. I made it to the surface level through a service lift that opened for me, too smoothly, as if even in collapse, the system still recognized my pattern. My breath tasted like soot and salt. The suit's HUD showed nothing. No life signs, no signals, no stars, just static. Like I'd stepped out of reality and into memory. I collapsed in a chamber I didn't remember entering. No ceiling, just a sky of pulsing red. Not clouds, flesh, thin and breathing. I pressed my back against the wall, hand still clutching the spent trigger. The echoes of the crew still floated through the air, names, jokes, screams, looping like a corrupted log file. And then, silence. Complete. Utter. For a moment, I believed I'd broken it. Ended it. That the structure had finally let go. But something twitched beneath me. Not the floor, my spine. A single ripple that moved from skull to tailbone, like a wire being reconnected. The burn mark on my back flared hot, then numb. And I felt lighter. Not weightless. Hollow. Like something had been pulled out, or something else had taken its place. The kind of stillness you only get when the body finishes healing, or finishes transforming. A shape rose from the ashes, small, hunched, glistening like a fresh nerve. It crawled on hands that weren't quite human, dragging threads of wet mineral behind it. It didn't speak, just stared. But when I blinked, it matched my movement. When I inhaled, it mimicked my breath. A mirror made from marrow. I didn't run. I didn't shoot. I understood. I hadn't escaped. I'd been extracted. There was no core left, only a field of crystal stalks, vibrating gently. From each, low tones pulsed into the ground, like sonar scanning for life that wasn't there. Or maybe, for memory that still was. I left the detonator behind. It was useless now. The structure had folded around it, incorporated it. A scar, not a wound. Proof of resistance, now embedded in the rhythm. My resistance, Not erased, remembered. When I sealed myself into the access tube, I felt the air thicken, not suffocate, preserve. This place wasn't dead, just paused again, waiting. The cycle doesn't restart from zero. It resumes with what remains, and I'm still here, breathing, thinking, broadcasting. If this reaches anyone, don't look for survivors. Don't bring light. Don't dig. This colony doesn't want you to find it. It wants you to join. I've been in this shaft for hours, days, doesn't matter. Time drips here like oil, thick, slow, impossible to wipe off. The emergency lights blink every 17 seconds. That's how I count now. Not minutes, not heartbeats, pulses. My breathing is shallow, controlled. I barely move. The walls are quiet, but I feel them flex sometimes, as if the whole chamber inhales with me, as if it's remembering how. The transmission's on loop. I don't know if it's even reaching the surface. Maybe it's just bouncing through the tunnels, echoing between old bones and fresh growth. But it keeps playing. My voice, thinner each cycle, still stitched together with the last truth I had to give. Containment failed. Structure autonomous. Organic replication in effect. I said it like a soldier, like it mattered. Now I say it like a prayer, like maybe someone will hear and understand. I hear Kryn sometimes, not her voice, her rhythm, the way she used to pace when anxious. 3 steps, pause, tap the wall. It plays through the pipe above me now, exactly every 3 minutes. A courtesy? A taunt? I don't know, but I find comfort in it. Proof that something of her remains, that even after the structure repurposed her, it kept the details. It didn't erase, it memorized. And maybe it did the same with me. I tried scratching a message into the wall. Name, rank, timestamp. But the metal reformed over it within minutes, smoothing itself like skin regrowing over a shallow cut. I should be afraid. I should scream. But all I feel is acceptance. The kind that comes not from surrender, but from inevitability. The realization that no matter how deep we dig, what waits below isn't death, it's pattern. And I've already been woven in. If this is what remains of me, let it speak true. Not warning, not salvation, just record. This colony isn't a ruin. It's a beginning with no end. A structure that adapts, absorbs, remembers. And I am not a survivor. I am not a man. I am a filament of what came before, threaded through the next layer. Listening, still, beneath the stone, beneath the pulse, and I will echo until someone answers or joins. There's something growing on my fingers, not fungus, not rot. The nails are turning clear, glass-like, veins visible beneath, tracing out symbols I never learned but now recognize. They pulse when I think of leaving, dim when I forget my name. I tried cutting one off. It grew back in minutes, smoother, cleaner, more correct. The structure doesn't punish mistakes. It refines them. I feel no hunger anymore, no thirst, just an ache behind the eyes whenever I try to remember home. The word Earth feels hollow in my mouth. I can say it, but it tastes wrong, like trying to hum a song in the wrong key. My tongue wants other syllables now, sharper, deeper. The colony didn't take my language. It's teaching me a new one, wordless, built from intention, and I'm starting to understand. There was a time I would have begged, screamed into the mic for someone to pull me out. But now, the silence feels honest. There's no deception here, no cruelty, just continuation. Life beyond form, function beyond self. Purpose you don't choose, but are chosen for. I'm not afraid of the dark anymore. It listens better than any light ever did. Something opened today. I didn't see it. I felt it, like pressure shifting in the skull. A corridor that wasn't there before is. It leads deeper than any scanner can track, and I feel pulled toward it. Not by fear, by recognition. Like a hallway in a dream you've never walked, but always known. The structure is calling me, not as a prisoner, but as a part of itself, waking. I wonder if the next team will find this log, if it'll survive the compression, the shifts in form. If not, that's fine. I've left myself in the stone, etched between layers, folded into breath and vibration. Even if this signal dies, I won't be gone. I'll be present. In the vent hum, in the footsteps that echo wrong, in the pause between pulses, listening. So if you descend into Thalos, if the lights flicker in rhythm, if the walls seem to breathe when you aren't watching, stop. Place your hand on the steel. Feel the warmth beneath it. That's not machinery. That's memory. That's me. And I will know you.